pregnenolone for all of our estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone for the rest of our lives. So if you want to be chasing your wife around the kitchen table when you're 75 or 80, you need to make sure that your adrenal system stays in good shape. If you want to make sure that you don't have osteoporosis because you're lacking estrogen, then you need to make sure that you keep your adrenal system very, very healthy. Now, of course, we know that your adrenals is all about about life and death, and your brain doesn't really care about anything else. It is all about survival. Every cell of our being is programmed for survival. So when push comes to shove, if it has to make a choice between the adrenal system and some other system, it's always going to favor the adrenal system. So we have an epidemic of infertility now, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that our young people are very stressed, either because they're not eating properly or because they're out in the work world and they're way stressed. And as a result, they're pulling on their adrenal system in order to survive. So your brain is smart enough to know that if you can't survive, then you better not have any babies, because you're not going to be able to make those babies survive. So it actually will cause infertility. Any woman or any man going through infertility treatment should always check on their adrenal system before they go any further to make sure that that system is healthy. Now, here's a little thing that most people don't know about blood tests. If you go to your medical doctor to say, I want to check on my adrenals, they're going to take a blood test and check on your cortisol level and your DHEA level. For one thing, they're just going to get one sample, and they're going to compare that again to those normals. And for another, your cortisol is highest in the morning, and then it lowers throughout the day. And if you start out within the low range of normal first thing in the morning when you go get your blood drawn, more than likely you're going to be lower than normal by the end of the day. So blood testing for adrenal levels just really doesn't work very well. But what does work really well is a saliva test. And you can go to diagnostex.com. That's on one of the slides previously. You can pull the whole show up and go back through that slide, but it's diagnostex.com. And they will tell you where you can find a practitioner in your area, or you can just contact me and I'll help you out with that. I can actually send you the kit and we can work long distance. But testing saliva actually tests the cortisol levels at 4 different times during the day. We can also check your DHEA. We can check your pregnenolone, your estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. And saliva testing tests the actual active form of those hormones, whereas serum, the blood test, tests an inactive form, a form that needs something else done to it before it can actually operate for you. So saliva testing is far more advantageous in terms of getting a really good handle on what's going on with this particular system. And I reiterate, if your adrenal system is not healthy, none of your other endocrine systems are going to be healthy. If they are, they won't be for long. So be sure to check in on your adrenal system. Now, there are some markers in your blood chemistry that refer to or would tell us if your adrenals are in jeopardy, but they won't tell us specifically how. They're like little red flags that tell us we need to get more information. So, stress, both physiological stress in the form of injury and psychological stress in the form of worry and stress strongly impact your health and, more importantly, your future health. So this slide talks about a stage of adrenal fatigue called the resistance stage. And this is where your body actually steals from pregnenolone. Here at the bottom of the metabolic pathway, it steals from pregnenolone in order to make DHEA. And during prolonged stress, the body will shunt pregnenolone into cortisol at the expense of DHEA, preferring to make cortisol it needs to deal with stress rather than making sex hormones. So if your husband is not feeling particularly randy these days, that may be why. He may be very, very stressed. Or if your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend is sort of having a headache every night, you might want to suggest that they have their adrenals checked. And so you'll notice that these people are wearing pajamas. And that's what happens when you go into the exhaustion stage. You really only have energy to get through your day, not have a lot of fun in the evening, and all you really want to do is sleep and rest. It's depressing, and all of your other endocrine glands get involved, your thyroid, your ovaries, and your immune system. So, having learned about this, we need to know more about how your diet affects all of these systems. So one thing that a lot of people don't know is that your brain works on one thing and one thing only, and that's glycogen, blood sugar. Now, lots of us are getting up in the morning and getting dressed and rushing off to work with a cup of coffee in our hand without any breakfast. And so we start out with low blood sugar. Now, your brain knows that if your blood sugar is low, if it gets too low, you're actually going to pass out. So when your brain reads that your blood sugar is getting low, it sends an alarm to your adrenals. We're going to die! We're going to die! We need some sugar in here! And your adrenals pop into action, and they send a signal to your liver, telling your liver to take some fat that is stored in the liver and turn it into sugar. Well, most of us know, if we spend any time in the kitchen at all, that that process of turning fat into sugar is not a very rapid process. But your liver is going to go, aye, and start doing that. And in the meantime, your adrenals are going to send a rather agitated or perhaps hysterically emotional signal back to your brain. Will you please make her eat something now? And that's when the person between you and the sandwich on the counter better get out of the way, because your brain knows that if you eat something white or that has white in it, it's going to go instantaneously into sugar. It's going to hit your stomach. Your stomach is going to get blood sugar into your bloodstream, and your brain is going to be able to stay alive for another few minutes. So it actually craves white food when your blood sugar is low. And so that explains that craving for the bagel or the candy or the can of soda. And, of course, a lot of us are really trying to trick our brain by having something sweet that tastes sweet, but it's sweetened with a no-calorie sweetener. Well, guess what? The brain still reads it as sweet, and that triggers the pancreas to make insulin. So whether you're actually eating something sweet or tasting something sweet that's artificially sweetened, the brain reads it as sweet, and then your pancreas secretes insulin.